Oh, let me know if everything works. This is the scuffed setup, but we'll see what we can do. Hotel room, good old laptop kind of thing, but I mean, we don't need much for this kind of stuff we're doing, so it should be good. But let me know if everything works. I'll have to switch back and forth too because I only have one monitor, so like I said, a little bit of a scuffed setup, but it should be fine. Sorry for the delay. But it just is what it is. Been a busy day, been a busy week, so yeah. But yeah, let me know if everything works because I would love to test it, but I cannot. Adam says all good. Well, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Rob, Alexis, Adam, Mr. Torch, all saying hey. Hey guys, hope you're doing all right. Okay, cool. I'll just trust you on you saying that everything works because I mean, no real reason not to. And we'll get straight into it because we've got a little bit of a movement going on off of the new rate hikes that have come in. Really haven't checked too much of the news because, like I said, it's been busy. But yeah, apparently we get some volatility as always. Every single time the rates come in, we get a little bit of movement. So yeah, before I start the show, big shout out to FTX for sponsoring it. Really appreciate their support. Go check them out. Their links are in the description. They offer, in my opinion, the best mobile trading app in crypto. So that's worth checking out if you are interested in that sort of thing. If not, also okay. Yeah, so low time frame. I mean, we can just jump into the 1 hour really quick. We've got a little bit of whipsaw going on, right? You can see how we've been kind of all over the place. You cannot really see it on the 1 hour even. It's like a 5 minute thing where we had a dump, a rally, and a dump again. It's the same on the S&P. Sorry about that. But yeah, what I was talking about is that the S&P is obviously dropping with Bitcoin, or Bitcoin is dropping with the S&P. The problem is that Bitcoin is kind of at the last line of support while the S&P are from it, so it has more room to drop, right? So if the S&P drops, it can take Bitcoin down with it, and structurally Bitcoin really looks shit. So we're in a territory where it's quite bad. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. We'll talk about the high time frames first. Let me quickly check if everything reconnected. Lagging? Yeah, sorry about that. Let's see if this works. If it doesn't work, I'll just cancel this and just do it again on the weekend. Let me know if it's back. But yeah, it looks actually kind of shit. Well, if it keeps on being bad, I'll just cancel it and then we can just do it another day. But yeah, let me know, anyone that's refreshed, if it's okay. And like I said, if it just keeps on doing this, I'll just cancel the stream and just do it another day. Okay, everyone's like, no, good, smooth, so okay. So I'll just repeat myself over and over and over again until it works one day. So basically what's happening, right, is the S&P is doing. Don't tell me it's happening again. Okay, never mind. So the S&P is dropping, right, from resistance. I wrote about this on Technical Roundup in the newsletter that Cred and I write together, and that's kind of expected. The support all the way to resistance now was quite a far move, like quite a big move. Bitcoin hasn't really moved away from its support yet, right? We're still very much in the same area, which means that if the S&P drops back down to range low, right? Well, Bitcoin's in a little bit of a pickle because the support has to hold, and I hate this connection so much. It takes ages, but whatever. Bitcoin has to hold, the S&P really doesn't. So the S&P, I mean, how much room is there to range low? Like 7-8%. If that happens, there's a good chance Bitcoin will break down, which is why it looks like it does. Shit situation, right? I've been pretty bearish the last few days, weeks. Still going to continue to be so. Don't really see a good reason to jump into the market anytime soon. Especially with this kind of shit going on, right? I mean, if you want to trade something, trade the S&P. It's cleaner, much better TA wise, and it's also been the better moves. So both from support and in this case resistance, right? Because this current S&P move is a little bit bigger than Bitcoin is. So yeah, we're kind of in that situation where you're stuck with trading a shitty asset if you're trading crypto, which is obviously not the best. But we'll talk about it anyways. I'll go over it real quick, and then you guys can still decide what you want to do. Monthly close was just a few days ago, right? 2 days, in fact. And that at least was above the cycle high of 2017. We kind of closed above it. You have to zoom in really far to see it. For me, this isn't really conclusive at all. Doesn't really look like anything. Doesn't really feel like anything, right? So it's more or less a nothing burger. We're consolidating around that cycle high and using it as support resistance, just kind of chopping around it, which isn't really helping. I mean, this should be an area we'll bounce strongly, right? But we're not. So for me, this is more a sign of weakness than strength. And the next support's at 14K, which is quite a bit away. So we have like good area to trade at 14K, and we have a good area to trade at the next resistance, which is 35, and we have just garbage in the middle. This support / resistance level at 20K has been used too much. I would not rely on it, and there's too many people in position already, so you'd want to take advantage of either move up or down, more so than positioning here, in my opinion. So yeah, that's that. The weekly time frame, a little bit of a similar story. I mean, it's TA wise, it's very different, but it's also just like a shit place to trade. Basically, that's the only thing that the two time frames have in common, because it's in a range and it's not really been moving out of it. So we're kind of like stuck in this like 20K support to 21K resistance area. It's just kind of bouncing back and forth. And whenever it's consolidating this tightly, you'd expect like a stop run one way or the other. And I don't know, I'd like to see it go down first before up. If it goes up before down, that just gonna be really shit. So not really the most bullish thing to look at either. It's support that must hold, that gets tested over and over again and barely produces a bounce, and a resistance that is not really too important. It's a nice one, but it's not the most important one, and it's holding so far, right? You can see this like clear rejection of a resistance. If we retrace all of this recent move that we've had, right, these 2 days of green, I think it's fucked. So that's the kind of situation we're in right now. It's very close to actually breaking down, in my opinion. And yeah, you have this level at 20K that needs to hold, basically. You don't want to see levels below there. You don't want to see closes below. You don't want to see any weakness. You don't want to see any acceptance below the lows as well. You just want to see it hold this, and so far it's not really been doing that, right? I mean, it's holding, but it's not like we're producing any strength. It's just it hit it, it bounced, ran into resistance, and then got rejected by resistance again, fell down to it, and just kind of just anemic here, which not the best kind of news, right? So all in all, I don't know, like Bitcoin looks pretty shit to me. The monthly is, there's nothing really to do with it. The weekly time frame is kind of like bearish to me. Even if you talk about market structure real quick, right, you can clearly see that this is lower high after lower high after lower high, and that's in a bearish trend, right? There's something I talked about on Monday, where you have a high, you have a lower high, you have a lower high, and like the high time frame momentums to the downside clearly, ever since 70k. And the low time frame momentum's been to the downside as well. You can see how the crawl is slow, right? The crawl up is slow. This is like 6 days of green, and then you have 2 days of red, and it erases all of it. And it's been the same kind of story. This is 1, 2, 3. I mean, ignore this, but still like 1, 2, 3, 4 candles of green. And if you get any kind of bearish momentum, it's most likely gonna be like 1 day, and that's gonna erase all of that. So unless we actually start breaking this lower time frame, lower high kind of scenario, I don't really see a good reason why I would want to jump in on the bullish side of things. 20k is quite low, so I'm like definitely not looking for shorts. But the bulls need to show me more for me to be interested. So it's not really a trade there, and it's something that I've been mentioning on various shows and in general on Twitter as well, is that whenever we've seen an S&P move, it's been outsizing Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin goes up 2% when the S&P goes up 3. In this case right now, Bitcoin's actually outperforming a little bit. The S&P is down 2.4%, Bitcoin's down 1.6, but yeah, whenever the S&P is moving up, Bitcoin's slower. So it just makes it uninteresting to trade. Any questions about Bitcoin? Any questions about this kind of current state of the market? Because yeah, did it die again? I hope it didn't, but yeah, let me know. If it dies again, I'll just nuke it and then just make it again on the weekend. Because it goes back from being okay to just dying. No problem, stream is fine. Okay, I'll just trust you on it, and then I think the recording is gonna be fine. So whoever has problems watching the stream can just watch the recording, even though I know it's kind of shitty. So yeah, sorry to disappoint on that front. It's just, I mean, you can never trust hotel internet. That's why I usually try to avoid it. But yeah, so that's kind of like the shitty situation we're in. I don't think there's really a need to do anything. Like people always try to trade, even though they don't need to. When it's unclear or when the situation isn't really in your favor, you just don't do shit. No, it's hard. No, it's boring, but that's just how it goes. But yeah, that's Bitcoin. With regards to ETH, it's bounced from support, which is good. It's also in this situation, the same kind of situation that Bitcoin's in. Market structure wise, high time frame market structure is down. Low time frame market structure is down as well. It's a little bit stronger than Bitcoin is. You can kind of see this on this low, right? So the low that was set here has been holding. When you go to Bitcoin's chart, you can clearly see that that's not the case, right? So the low that was set here was undercut during the consolidation on the right side. That's clearly more bearish, right? So ETH's been holding pretty well. ETH's been doing pretty well. Obviously down more today. That's always the case whenever you have like these down days. Stuff like ETH or in general altcoins do worse, but all in all, it's stronger, right? So if you're betting on the market to turn around, ETH's been a good bet. It's probably going to be a good bet in the future as well. It's just how it is. Oh, Litecoin's outperforming. Why is Litecoin outperforming? I think they had news, right? If I remember correctly, there was some news on Litecoin, but it's Litecoin. But yeah, that's Bitcoin. We can quickly talk about the time frames on ETH, but I'm not biggest fan on the structure here. Oh god, I think it's dying again. Well, this has been fun. Not hearing you, Don. Yeah, I mean, I when it takes like 5 minutes to swap from one chart to the next, I know that there's problems with the internet. But yeah, TA wise, support resistance, I think isn't really too important here. I know that sounds like a little bit odd, but I think it's more of a market structure kind of thing. That said, the moment we get out of this range, right? So this is the range. down here. So the moment we get out of this range, it starts getting interesting, right? So let's say 1.2k fails. I think there's no chance that 1k is going to hold again. And then, I mean, where's the next support, right? It's very, very far away. It's like in the 600s. If you want to be like super positive, it's 750 maybe, like this area. But really, there's not that much there. I think this is like an area of somewhat good support, 780. But I don't think if we lose 1.2k anything before 800 will do anything. So that's where it starts getting interesting down here. I think this is actually like a good area to bid, 600 to 800. Or if we actually start just fully breaking out to the upside, I think I don't think 2.5k is going to do too much either. So if you break 2k, I think it's pretty much straight to 3k. So there's the trade there, right? You can take advantage of the momentum to the upside, or you can take a trade when everything nukes and everything fails. And that's going to be a trade at 600 to 800, I think, if it does. Anything in between, anything in this range, not too interesting to me. I'd rather buy it when it completely melts down, just kind of my style. But that might take a while. And like I said, if it shows momentum to the upside, take it. But there's a chance it won't. So that's that. Audio not working? I mean, I can see that it's working. So I don't know. I'll just run this, watch the video after. If the video is good or not. And if the video is shit, I'll just delete it and do it again at some other point. But yeah, some people can hear it, some people cannot. It's just how it is. Sorry about this. Doge pumping, kicking off the trend to come, is not necessarily true. Doge's been a top indicator more than anything. Look at Doge. So, top of Doge, 3rd of May 21. And then you go to Bitcoin. Oh god, this internet. So, that was in this area, right? So Dogecoin kind of, I don't know, like it's Dogecoin pumps have not necessarily been too good for Bitcoin. I'd like to show this properly, but my screen's so tiny I probably cannot. We can try it. No, I cannot even on this because I'm not on my own trading view. I'm on a different one, so I cannot even compare it because I don't have proper premium here, I think. Anyway, you can kind of look this up yourself. Dogecoin pumping isn't necessarily the best for prices all across crypto markets. Can be, most of the time it's really not. And this is not necessarily anything like when you get a crypto move, something pumps without a narrative. It's very, very different than like this is the most obvious narrative that you can get, right? Elon Musk that has been promoting Dogecoin the entire time by his Twitter, one of the biggest social media platforms and the one that is it's the most key social media platform around Twitter, and around crypto, right? So it just kind of makes sense. This is a clear narrative, and it pumped 2x out of it, right? So it went from 0.06 to 0.12 currently, right? So that's a clear narrative there, but that's not necessarily like a show of strength of crypto or like a return of interest or anything. It's just a bunch of crypto people and like a few people that are not maybe interested in it, looking at it, being like, okay, this just makes sense. It's a narrative that I can play, right? It's basically all of us are bored. Everyone is looking for a narrative to play, and then Dogecoin just came around, and that's that basically. All the liquidity goes into the same exact place, and then you get these kind of pumps. But it's not okay. Crypto's back, baby. I don't think anyway. Doge pumps right before a massive pump? We can. Doesn't have to, but it can. Someone says the audio is choppy. Yeah, it could be. Like I said, like a few people say they can. I mean, you can see my screen. Other people cannot. It's just how it is. Jacuzzi Don, you know, hostel with bad connection. Yep. Bear market's bad, man. It's living in a doghouse right now. But yeah, this is like just this kind of stuff, and this is a lot of people will kind of make their decisions based on this low time frame stuff. But it's really just the S&P moving, and then Bitcoin going along with it. And if you think you have any edge in there, I think you're wrong. Like, this is just nothing you want to be trading. And the S&P, like I said, this is the more interesting chart. Like, this is what we've basically been trading around, and this is something that I wrote about, like that we wrote about, Cred and I, in the newsletter. Basically, we closed the monthly above resistance for the first time. This is like a good sign, right? This is what you want to be seeing, because I mean, it's the first time that we broke a resistance on the monthly ever since this downtrend started, and so we have something there. The problem is, like, we broke it and we ended the last week at resistance, right? And this is something that you can take advantage of when you see this break and you're like, okay, I want to be putting some exposure in the market. Basically, how you do it is, we are trading up here, right? And you're like, okay, how do the lower time frames look? Am I gonna get a better entry? And you see that the weekly closed at resistance, and you're like, okay, maybe this old resistance is gonna do a little bit of a job and actually get me some better prices by rejecting price. So that's what it did, right? We got a rejection here, and we're running into monthly support. So if you are at all bullish, this is the area to look for, right? So it's not the worst in the world, and I'm actually not super bearish on the S&P. It's just I don't like the look of Bitcoin, but I'm not really too bearish on this, given that we're at support or around support. So maybe we go to 3.7. That'd be an interesting area, and if we go there, maybe you can bid crypto just along with it, just because, I mean, if the S&P bounces, Bitcoin will bounce and everything in crypto will bounce. But yeah, it's quite rough, and I'm personally just, I don't know, I just feel like I'm gonna waste my time and get chopped up if I'm taking any trades right now. I've had a few good ones in the last few months, but this seems really tough. This is really hard to trade, and I've got better things to do right now. So I shall not be over trading in conditions that I know that I don't have too much edge in. Just how it is, right? And then when the market goes crazy again and you get massive candles to one side or the other, I will be like sitting there, not in position, able to execute with a calm head, because I'm not losing all my money one way or the other. So that's kind of my plan. I could regret it, right? This is monthly support on the S&P. Monthly supports and resistances have been doing wonders, right? So like I said, if you're looking for like an entry and you're like burning to buy, this is not the worst place in the world, I guess. It's just the trend's down, right? And the momentum's not really been too bullish so far, right? So if you look at this, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but we've had two candles to the downside here. We have one retrace candle. We have two. I mean, the people that are watching this on a video are gonna wonder why I'm keep on complaining about the video. But yeah, everyone that's watching this live is not gonna have much fun. So sorry in advance, or sorry in hindsight, or whatever. Sorry about this. Anyway, S&P interesting at 3.2k ish down here, and yeah, if this doesn't hold, right? And if it does hold, I mean, you have range here. So this is the current range. We managed to get back into it. I'm not too fond of it, but it is something to look at. So yeah, technically at support right now. You'd expect it to bounce. Just don't know where to. 4.3 eventually, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm just not taking a trade. I'm just gonna give it probably till January, till I'm gonna do any moves, because historically it's kind of shit time to trade, in my opinion anyway. Like you don't wanna be occupied with trading crypto at Christmas. You don't wanna be doing too much when the trends are this shit. So yeah. Worst internet connection ever? Yes, I agree. Actually, this is fucking annoying. So yeah, I mean, if you get any lags or anything, just refresh, and it usually comes back and works better. Is just how it works. But yeah. Anyway, that's Bitcoin, ETH, and the S&P. With regards to altcoins, I don't really think there's much to talk about. Dogecoin's the most interesting one, and even that I cannot say anything about. I think there's trade potential there just because people are trading it, right? So at least you have good liquidity and you have moves. Like you have 10% moves up, 10% moves down. Problem is, if you take shorts, you can get blown out by Elon Musk tweets. If you take longs, I mean, do you really want to long this thing in a bear market? I don't think so. So it's kind of the tough one. But there's actually something that we talked about on stream, like this kind of meme triangle, and I'm surprised it's actually worked out that well. Just walked out of it and then boom. So I mean, that's the most interesting one, but I cannot, there's no TA to be made there. There's just all momentum, in my opinion anyway. There's better ways to trade it than with lines on the chart. Just trade it on momentum, low time frame momentum. You see an Elon Musk tweet that gets engulfed to the downside. That's probably a sign of weakness. I think this is what happened here, if I remember correctly. You should just basically put Elon Musk tweets on the chart and then see if you can find any alpha there. That's the only thing I can give you. It's more momentum thing than anything else. So basically, as long as Elon Musk tweets push this up, you don't want to fade it. The moment he starts tweeting about it and it immediately fades, that's where you want to step in as well. Because then the strength is running out and then you can dump on the people that bought this just for the hell of it. Any questions, anything? Because I'll keep this short just because it's it's a pain in the butt. Please check the YouTube video, Bitcoin fractal prediction. Nah, thank you. This is a scam. I mean, I see these kind of comments, right? Please check blah blah blah, and then the people at Pro Traders launch. I mean, you just know, you click on any of those links, you're gonna get this hell scammed out of you. This is just, yeah, yuck. And if it's not, sorry about that, but I mean, should have been him. But yeah, definitely would not go anywhere there. Cannot recommend. Hi Dawn, would you sell an ETH position if it closes below 1.4k right now, or wait until 1.2k breaks? I mean, ETH's been strong, right? So basically, trade ETH around Bitcoin if you have a prediction that Bitcoin's gonna go up. ETH's probably gonna go up as well. I think the moment you start losing 1.4k, it starts to look really shit though. So if you get a weekly close below 1.4k, it starts looking really shit. So if you bought 1.2k because it's good support with a stop loss below 1k, what you now can do, and this is pretty neat, right, is that's not this, it's this here. So you have this set up, right? Yeah, you bought basically down here. You had your stop loss down here. I actually talked about this on stream a couple of times, this exact setup. And your target was up here, right? That's decent setup. It's not the best, but it's decent setup. Well, now that price has moved up, you can actually, your entry is still there, but your stop loss, so this is still running, right, from down here, but your stop loss can now be basically down here, because if we retrace this entire impulse that we've had, you should probably be out. So even if you get stopped out, you're not going to lose on this trade, and it's still valid, right? So if you want to absolutely hold on to it, it's still a valid trade until we lose 1.35, and that's going to stop you out in profit. So that's kind of neat, right? Obviously not the best situation because you're going to make a shitload of more money if you just exit here. The problem is the trade's technically still running, right? And if you had the conviction to buy the lows, you probably don't want to be closing too early. So yeah, for the bulls among us, you want to hold them as long as you can, and 1.35 is as long as you can. If we move higher, that low is going to move up and up and up, so the stop loss can move up and up and up as well. It's not guaranteed, obviously, and it's often the case when you buy these at important levels that you give back a lot of the gains, because you're just going to be wrong most of the time, right? You're going to be wrong 3 or 4 times until you hit it. But if you go out with like a slight loss or even a slight win in this case, while you do that, you can get really good entries, which this is like usually how I like to trade these kind of situations. I like to buy these lows with a stop loss, and then price moves up and it's very clear that we should not be crossing under a certain price level, then I just have my exit plans around there. Sorry about that. Any advice for newbie traders how to build high conviction trades? I mean, just keep on practicing, basically. Like the more action you have in the market, the more confident you will become, and I mean, it just takes a while. I think the whole like do this, do that is just bullshit. You just need some practice, as with everything else in life, right? You cannot become good at something just by watching other people do it. You cannot become good at something just by having people to give you tips all the time. You just have to fucking do it. Just sit down, put some time into it, and then you see if it is actually something you're good at or not. And this is something you should be able to accept as well. Not all people are good at this thing. Some people are better at one thing, some people are better at others. Just how it kind of goes. In my opinion, anyway. SushiSwap. We are back. This is the most annoying stream I've ever had. Oh, whatever. We'll deal with it. So we talked about this last week, huh? Yeah, I mean, broke out of the range, right? So not the worst. Look, I hate the immediate retests, right? Whenever you have like a retest of something, like you have a range and then you break out. This is supposed to be horizontal by drawing without a mouse. So you have a breakout. If you retest it immediately, that's not the best in the world, but I mean, it's still a retest. So technically, as long as that range high holds, it's clear, and the next resistance is almost a double. So I mean, if you bought it last week or the week before, or even like at range low, right? Because range low in this case was pretty clean. The next resistance up here, and you don't need to close this position unless we lose the support. So I mean, at this point, you just close it below that level, in my opinion. So if you bought it somewhere around 1.35 or 1.4, you just wait for the range high to be lost, and if it doesn't, you just wait for 2.8 to be hit. I think that's as clear as it gets from a setup. But yeah, I think this just doesn't make much sense. Hope you still enjoyed it. Sorry about the whole internet issues. I'll repeat this on a weekend. Just make one extra or something, because this is miserable. But yeah, anyway, thanks for coming by. Big shout out to the sponsor, which is FTX. Sorry for the internet issues, and yeah, just take this as an extra, and we'll do one on Saturday or Sunday. I think we'll have a stream with Cred on Friday. I'll try to make it back. Should be possible. Stream or video, and then I'll just do one extra Saturday or Sunday. So yeah, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Sorry for the laggy times. I think we talked about most of it. I think the video should be good. So I'll leave that. Like, it's not good, obviously, given I had to repeat myself 5 times for the live stream. But yeah, nothing I can do about it. So yeah, I'll try to make an extra one on the weekend. If I forget, just add me on Twitter and tell me, hey, dude, you're an idiot. Do this now, and I'll try to remember. So yeah, thanks for coming by. See you guys next time. Bye bye.